Hello, people of Connecticut and America, and Native Americans especially. Native Americans have the FBI and have courts and have the medical community and have the sciences, people with the databases putting fake and changed information into the databases. And they have the principles of American history and of the other countries. They have shared roles at campuses together and are directed to hide things about that. And they use those directions for truths to hide lies, and truths as lies. So Fox Connecticut News, and next to their building, they have a former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, former standing chairperson on the Racketeering Influence and Corrupt Organizations Act, who has roles with predicate acts with facts, with a Thaddeus Grabowski, next to Fox Connecticut News, that has been putting fake and changed information, collusions with Channel 3 News, too. WFSB attached me to fake conversations with them about the World Trade Center attack. They have their sources, roles with this. There are retired police chiefs from Wethersfield who have roles with a principal upskirt nature, who I caught them with first. And they have Native Americans involved with this. But they have everyone playing with the Native American intelligence community with Hartford Hospital. They have roles with the World Trade Center attack. And with as little cowards in the background, the intelligence community A through Z. Get them in my posts here because they won't get on paper. The interbranch forging and switching names. I love you guys, Native Americans. You guys are our founders. And then you guys coupled with James Madison, with the colonists, and with his plan, which because there was already torture, extortion, and slavery of everyone entrenched. A method of it, sickly, distinctly against everyone too, that would measure and maintain. Everyone leaves out and doesn't counter how sickly, non-distinctly everyone was victim to the same breaching method. If they tried to, that body was sensed, including if that body was a majority of people, including if it was everybody, and that was as easily adapted to because we have had and have these laws and syntax natures by them and exceptions treated as is fake. Only truths used as criminal and seditious natures of uses of them. Truths used for lies. Truths used to screen lies. Every individual could discern this, but not one individual is being allowed to afford the order of the finite. And everyone else is sport with passions and emotions, pretending anyone spoke for truth. If anyone spoke for truth legitimately, we wouldn't have had left out how we have black pupils, whites of eyes, and a breaching method reassigned what that means. And made roles with it, including roles sensing if anyone tries to correct what nature communicates with that. And they made it. So, in other words, and there's more World Trade Center predicate acts. Don't forget, I was in Ninth Circuit Court right next to the World Trade Center towers right before they were attacked. The investigators of that are increasingly involved with putting fake evidences with that, with Wethersfield Police. Retired Wethersfield police chiefs, a police chief Citron, and intimate ties to them. They have roles with the Collusions family near me, involved with some police making confessions over the phone and switching names, forging names, not giving the whole name, refusing to get on paper. Since I was a kid, no. These are also courts putting fake things in the databases. There's a Brian Silver, a Salisbury, and there are other prosecutors. And there are female judges involved with sexual and medical offenders of kids forced. And the roles with doctors involved with that, medical and female doctors like a Leahy family, males and female and their family involved with sexual and medical fingers, fake conversations with me. Yeah. So in other words, I've been asking Judge Napolitano, get them on paper, one name and sequence. On a mass scale, the courts bring people between the courts. Oh, because we don't have time. We don't have time because you guys, the courts have been collusion/s at and next to each campus I went to. There are connections between people and the people next to it, putting identity theft, fraud, sequence shifts, fake ties, fake natures of ties to me and to others. These are people involved with that who also have then had roles interstates and internationally with the World Trade Center attack. Wethersfield police have some Mendez brothers involved. They're still forcing Saudis to collusions with them because there are others that force the Saudis in America to defend their names the way the breaching method shows them to self out of their names, being and having been used by the breaching method. The hyper foreign, A through Z, has them suits and ties, counters and exceptions as those differences, as no non-difference, as an array used remotely, everyone's fake. So mandated law says don't change and fake what I say about those rape threats that New Britain Superior Court's Facebook has. Their Facebook page, with sequence shifts too, and they're lying about their motion. They're trying to paint fake motivations because these are people that already recorded themselves going back and so forth with all sides of cases and juries seated criminally for influence. There are medical families associated with seating juries that have been rules of all kinds of natures of identity, theft, fraud, slanders. They're shown they need to hide life progressions from things past, active now. They can't speak for the mind legitimately, and to come. They are shown that they can't appreciate the seasons the way the nature shows us to understand and discern the value of the season before they're even here. Nature's identity is hyper-native pure. It even shows us there are three natures of Native American founders, and the final third of the founders, they had to be forced by the rest of the Native Americans and the colonists together. But they couldn't explain that to them because the breaching method was forcing everyone to have not free speech enough to be able to defend themselves or make a nature of unity or make a nature of independence that was anything other than tactical ulterior who could defend itself syntactically and afford to be appreciated properly. How nature shows us we are a unity as the human species body of individual bodies simultaneously forced to be independent. And nature shows us we are forced to be a hyper-native system. But the Native Americans aren't allowed to appreciate distinctly from ourselves, but neither of us, as regular citizens, in other words, had honesty been, all these things would have been brought up, like how we have black people as white lives, and how nature is hyper-native pure, how there was a sustained human fact human nature breaching method, exploiting how only locations, areas, and states could operate the name of countries. And so it forced, tricked, hurt, and persuaded the people operating the names of countries A through Z to have to react to bad things that a human fact human nature breaching method caused. And wrongly, and blaming other things, others, or selves for what it did, because they didn't know how to defend themselves, but they had to start defending themselves. And that never stopped. That breaching method effectively kept and keep. This is more probable, at least, until relative to where and how these scientists have the audacity to keep speaking and using words like theory or science or research. The databases are still involved with predicate acts with facts methods. So Fox Connecticut News has people with their phone changing and faking things and refusing people to communicate with them over the phone as Collusions/S with FBI and Wethersfield Police and state police and forensics names in courts that have been putting faked and changed digital evidences and phone transcripts. A lot of evil things happen by the courts, preventing people voices at the courts and lying about their motivations as Collusions/S. Increasingly blaming things that overt criminal enterprises, private ones, all kinds of illusions, even tied to things like murders. They're blaming other things other themselves. We would have discovered these things. They have the state of department corrections offices and judicial branch offices also criminally involved with this conversation, also tactically delusions raw with this conversation between me and the Native Americans and Fox Connecticut News and the people of Connecticut. And Hartford Hospital has some Native American intelligence involved with them. With Trinity College has intelligence too with the Native American tribes, with people involved with identity theft, fraud, slanders against me. And people further with the child abusers, leaders of the kids first forced. There are more yet involved with that. These are also officers forging and switching names. I believe there's ones with Rocky Hill, men and women with the psychiatry and that have badges too, and their kids involved with identity theft, fraud, slanders, all kinds of drugs and medicines crimes and relative delusions. They are refusing to identify themselves legitimately for their roles with torture too. We're going to examine this. Their roles with torture before the World Trade Center attack. And criminally foreign influence readings of statutes and precedents, collusions like with the Patriot Act. They're pretending things are debatable that are not. They're going to have to get onto paper and follow mandated law with the Fox Connecticut News. Get me off the fake change conversation ties to other people. Fox News, follow mandated law. I want a response for why you're not responding to me. I caught them with worse with the principal child abuser then and now. They're torturing him to say nothing in the prison he's in. Make sure they get on paper with the police chief Cintron too. I still didn't get a response from them. And they put all kinds of falsified police reports. And for the same arrest, they put arrays of falsified police reports and make confessions tied to that at the courts too. The Britain Superior Court has a whole bunch of people tied to past child abusers, and they had roles with them, with retired and standing judges, including female judges, with child sex offenders, and black, white, female judges from Black, KKK, Latino theme, Italian theme, a Korean theme, etc. All these Russian, Ukraine, all with Hartford Hospital names that attach me to fake conversation with them, like this Leahy family, personally and professionally with judges, with sick people putting things in databases. It's important to get them on paper, one name in sequence, and look at the location of Fox Connecticut News, right where the north end of Hartford is cut off. The founding locations in America and in Connecticut, in other words, in the capital there, where George Washington had to come with James Madison's plan to counter-extort, to force people to counter those crazy torture, extortion, in fact, even major slavery laws. Therefore, physically, to an extent, that's why they had to leave slavery entrenched. They did not want it entrenched. They have our founders' identity stolen right in our face. They declassified this, but we have a bunch of punks, self-valued roles, using what they said, pretending not to realize that they declassified that and how they didn't have free speech. Nature itself shows us they didn't have free speech. See their subject treatments with the witch trials separated from the other laws. These are people who need to pretend like research is a value. It's not. Because they have the research in that word used: criminally foreign influence, tactical illusions, raw. Words like violence. They make, this type of violence, this is all we're doing. Get them on paper. Get them on paper. Hartford Hospital has people personally and professionally involved with interstates and with the Native American intelligence. They were involved with the F.B.I. putting fake transcripts in databases. You fear God, please, for them. Don't hide and plot. Fox News, please follow mandated law. Just give up the FBI director and Robert Luskin. It was recorded, and Thaddeus Grabowski next to Fox Connecticut News right before he was a co-defendant of his in a 2006 district court case. That's some Mendez police brothers. A Mendez police brother I never even had a word of conversation with in my life. He put me in a fake conversation with him a fake sentence with him at the Wethersfield Police Department. As one of the people recorded, confessed, demonstrate, confirm, they make arrays of falsified police reports, and they put a charge with no writing. And then they try to make fake exceptions while they're making confessions and demonstrations that they're switching officers' names and adding more people confessed while pretending not to be a confession with sexual abuses and rape threats and things like that, including digital crimes. Wethersfield Police have also, and with New Britain Superior Court and the state judicial branch offices and corrections offices, they have federal crimes with child sex offenders and medical offenders, with Facebook personally involved with them, with the courts too. And the Ninth Circuit Court in Manhattan, New York, right next to the World Trade Center towers, also involved with this. A bunch of people recorded, confessed, demonstrated, a Keene family involved with this, and people and places associated with them, like the community center in Old Wethersfield, and people associated with them, like a Bryan family, a Oliveri family, a Cololo family. These are also ones involved with the sexual and medical offenders of kids, and the state judicial branch office and corrections offices, and the people with the businesses and houses next to Hartford Hospital, involved with them with identity theft, fraud, slanders. Note that changing with black pupils, whites and bis is communicating to us from nature, projecting it, how that's identity theft, fraud, slanders, instantly, so as a trinity. Let's get them on paper, please. Fox News, follow mandated law for WFSB 2. WTNH has all from the founding locations in Old Wethersfield. They're communicating other than our founders communicated for them to communicate about that. Where our founders didn't have free speech, they had to communicate distinctly from their speech. They had to go like this with us. They declassified they didn't have free speech. Who disbelieves it will have inherent to progressive to their logic, their nature of logic. The demonstrations are the same thing. They can't be honest about logic. We're going to have to, you guys can't follow mandated law. I shouldn't have to keep begging you to get them on paper, one name and sequence, and get me off of fake communications and the change communications with the news media. The WFSB just totally put me in fake communications with them. And they have their kids involved with this too, the interbranch and the intelligence tied to them. Like WFSB has a Roger Suzanne and these police that are switching names with the name McGee. And they have a whole bunch of police that are switching names, forging names. Let's get them on paper with the name, with the principal child offender's confessions too. I want my response. They put fake and change evidence. Let's get them on paper, please. You know, you guys have audacity too to be playing games with Native Americans, Sense and Sensibilities, keep them lied to, changing and faking what's actually recorded. Don't do it. Don't do it.